be true and every man a liar. Let a brother get from me Titus chapter 1 and verse 11. These Christian apologetics hate you. These Christian apologetics, guess what?
We live.
Guess what? We already determined that they are the children of the devil. And guess who hated that you finding out who you are and you walking towards obedience to God? Your number one adversary. Satan himself is angry. And Satan is going to do anything in his power to tempt you and get you to go off. Understanding that, you children of Israel need to gird up your loins and armor yourself with the whole armor of the Most High God. Armor yourself with the precepts in the scripture.
Make this point, and then we're gonna get to the class. Captain Durak.
Adam, please forgive me.
No, you good. Continue. Make your point.
The last point I'm gonna make is in Titus 1 and 11.
The book of Titus, chapter 1 and verse 11. Read, whose mouth must be stopped.
No, he got to read louder. That reader got to speak louder.
Whose mouths must be stopped.
Good.
Who subvert whole houses. Teaching things.
Start at verse 10, Salaki.
The book of Titus, chapter 1, verse 10.
That was interesting.
For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision.
Read on.
Whose mouths must be stopped.
We in these clubhouse schools, we go and get our own people. And they deceive it. They in hopes to deceive many. They got tactics in it. They don't want a brother like Adawan Yawal or Adawan Ratazan to speak on a platform because they know the scriptures. They want another brother to come on so they can bully and take over the teacher to push their narrative. But see, these Hebrew Israelites can't deal.
That dude in the class.
But understanding this first, right? That it's given to you the secrets of the kingdom of heaven. It's not given to them, right? We have to study to show ourselves approved, right? And realize what the Bible, who the Bible's talking to, what the Bible is actually saying, and coming and looking at it as an actual child of God, as an actual Israelite, right? Don't let these Christian churches and the members of those churches try to come on Clubhouse and try to defer you from the ways of the Lord.
That's right.
This is true. And I yield.
God. So what y'all was just listening to was Captain Durak teaching on our conference call. You see the number at the bottom of the screen. If you really want to ask questions and interact with brothers, we make time every Friday to talk to you live and direct via the conference call. Can you go on Clubhouse? Make a room? And tracking the prophets. Okay. So we make a time to talk to you every week. Okay. Calling into that number pushes you ahead of everyone else that's in our chat on the side, right? Because you're actually talking to us. You could fellowship, you could read, you could do current events. All you got to do is communicate with us. Call into that number and actually talk to brothers. Okay. If you're not familiar, it's your first time, welcome to the Friday Sabbath class where we do practical lessons and teach things that you can apply in your everyday life. And we also do meaningful Bible study. All right. Every now and then we might take a debate. All right. You never know what you're going to get on Friday's Sabbath class. Yeah. All right. Amongst other things, we teach on the Clubhouse application.
That's right.
Okay. So the rules are very simple. When you call into the class, just make sure your phone is on mute. And if you want to ask a question, just say, excuse me, or Salakia, and brothers will push you to the top of the stack and talk to you. All right. I expect to see as many people on our call as I see on the YouTube video. All right. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Should you be watching this, I know some of y'all got flyers in your hands from you've seen our brothers teaching in the street and they gave you a flyer. This is your first Sabbath class, or you might be actually on the call. All you got to do is just say Salakia or excuse me, and we can politic, we can build. All right. In the spirit, what we're teaching tonight is tracking the prophets. We're going to show you the prophets that you're going to find, minor and major. We're going to show you who they prophesied under and who was king, so that what you can do on your own time, right, is find the king that they was under in the Chronicles, look at the events that surrounded his life, find the prophet who was talking to him, and now you could actually make a visual in your mind. Right. Sometimes we separate the prophets from the life events that they was prophesying for. Right. So when you have a king of Israel, he has prophets, and they're saying things to him live and direct. And I think sometimes we miss that because we separate the prophets from the kings that they prophesied to. All right. They said things for a purpose and a reason. Right. So we're going to try to connect those dots tonight. This class, you definitely need a pen and a pad. Mm-hmm. This class, you definitely need a pen and a pad. I did not make a visual aid. So you're not going to be able to go to the video and slide the slider and then mark it down later. You will have to watch the video again. So why not get you a pen and a pad now? You're not going to have to write. Tell them they're not going to have to write a plethora of things. Right. You literally going to put the name of a man, right, and the name of the kings he prophesied with, right, so that you can go on your own time and actually look up these kings. What was happening during this king's life? Right. Did you know that this brother was his prophet? This was all going on with that king. Let me go to the prophet that coincides with that king. Right. And now you're reading the prophets with a whole new lens. All right. As Hebrew Israelites, we don't have a lot of Bible studies like this. Yeah. We have to go to Esau or the other nations for this type of education. We'll teach you who you are. We'll give you some prophetic scriptures. We'll cut lies and things that are said. We'll give you some history. But like, this is kind of like seminary. Right. Yeah. And we're going to try to bring you some of that, which is our reasonable service. Okay.
Shalom to everybody on the YouTube.
Shalom. You know I do the roll call. So shalom, John, Micah, Allah, Jasmine, Yaiquab, Azaniah, Jay Scott, Soldier Darak, Kaivan, Joanne Gilchrist, Brian Skipper, Larita, Share the Thought, Karas, Judah, Cad, Grooves, Samara, T. Sellers, Jason, Shara, Carla, Christina, Clayton, Vanessa, Brother Micaiah, Nina Bruce, Soul Brother 144, Minyan, Kowal, Matthias, Holy Yasharala, Mordecai, John Doe, I said Matthias, Hadassah, Dre, DTA Twan, what up? Hey, Twan, I got a Hebrew name for you, brother. Remember I told you I was going to get it? I got a name for you. Christella, Sincere Love, Elisa, Romanica, Sister Natiza, Sophia, Ab Yasharala, Isaiah Santiago, Eric Foster, Azariah, Knack, SOT. I lost it. It skipped. Knack, SOT, King Asher, Captain Yahweh, Divine Yah, Soldier Boaz, Aharon, Captain Israel, Frank Santiago, West Windsor, Dante O'Brien, Yara Yah. I never heard that name before. Tanaya, Jason. I say Yara Yah. It's Uriah. You're right. Yakim Yah. That you know who that brother is. Jonathan. Believers of the Way. What up, Akim? Baylor, Jimmy Tillman, James Huggins, Yawasop, Daughter of Zion, True Soldier, Christian Greer, Brother Ramon Rogers, who still need to come feast with us. Shalom to everybody. All right.
Shalom to everybody on the call, and shalom to the brothers and sisters on the clubhouse. Shalom, everybody.
Come. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write in the comments so you know who the specific prophet we're talking about, so that you can cycle through. I'm going to help you so you can cycle through the video like that. The comment at the bottom will have the recent name of the prophet. All right. Right now, we're talking about the prophet Jonah. That's where we're going to start with Jonah. All right. Jonah is considered a prophet to the northern kingdom. All right. Who was king while Jonah was prophesying? It's very hard to date that and name that. All right. Because the Nineveh that Jonah prophesied to was a very different Nineveh that we read later in the scriptures. All right. And this lesson is going to be swift. and it's not going to be too technical so that it can be enjoyable. Jonah, we are led to believe, prophesied during King Azariah and Jeroboam II. So Azariah would have been the king of Judah, and Jeroboam II would have been the king of Israel. So the kingdom would have been split by the time Jonah was prophesying. Where do we get that from? 2 Kings 14 and 25.
It's book of 2 Kings, chapter 14 and verse 25. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel, which he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah. Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, which was of Gath-Hepher.
This was given during a certain time, during Jeroboam's reign. Go to verse 23.
Verse 23, in the 15th year of Amaziah.
Now, Amaziah was only king for 15 years. The next king is his son, Azariah. So we believe that Jonah prophesied during Azariah's reign. Go ahead.
The son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel.
Now, Jeroboam was the king of Israel during the time when Jonah prophesied. Because we are led to believe that because they quote that Jonah was a prophet, that they hearkened to, that Jeroboam actually heard what he said and listened to. Read it.
Began to reign in Samaria and reigned 41 years.
Hold on. Nina Bruce said, you brothers already gone too fast. Listen to me, sister. This lesson would take 5 hours. I ain't lying.
Yeah.
The way that we relaying it to you is we're going to tell you the name of the prophet and the name of the kings who ruled when he prophesied. The burden is on you to go and look up those kings and see the events surrounding their life. And we're giving you the precepts so that you can find that to study it. So right now, our precept is 2 Kings 14, 23 through 25. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin.
That's Jeroboam the first. Go ahead.
He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel.
But he did do this. Read.
Which he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, which was of Gath-Hepher.
Now, this Jonah is the Jonah from the book of Jonah. Go to Jonah 1 and 1.
Book of Jonah.
Slow down.
Oh, slot.
That's where you're going too fast.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna have to teach. I didn't look that up, so you're gonna have to explain it. Yeah. Jonah 1 and 1. Read that.
Book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai.
See, now that's the same Jonah from the book of Kings, the son of Amittai. Read.
Saying, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me.
There you have it. So Jonah, we believe we are led. One could say that maybe Jonah gave that prophecy long before, and then Jeroboam became king and fulfilled it. He was moved by it, but that's kind of a stretch, because that would mean that the kings before him ignored that prophecy for the longest time, and there's no mention of that. So what we're saying is, because they mentioned Jonah and tell you who was ruling during that time, and say that Jeroboam acted because of what Jonah said, we are led to believe that Jonah lived during that time.
Right.
So again, Jonah, the prophet, was during the reign of King Azariah, that's king of Judah, and King Jeroboam II, that's king of Israel. The kingdom was split at that time. And your precept is 2 Kings 14, 23 through 25. That's your first prophet. Y'all see how this lesson gonna go? We're just gonna move, right? But that's good. Now you're like, oh, I'm gonna look up Azariah, because Jonah was his prophet. What Azariah was doing,
Right.
Because Jonah was teaching while that brother was king.
Right.
And then and now you can do your own Bible studies and enjoy it. All right. The next You want to say something?
Just to add on to the prophet Jonah, we can also say that Tobit was either around during the time of Jonah giving that prophecy, because we know Tobit was in Nineveh. We can say he was around either the time of Jonah giving the prophecy or not too far after, but we know it's before Nineveh got destroyed, because when we read the book of Tobit, chapter 14 and verse 8, it says, "And now, my son, depart out of Nineveh, because that those things which the prophet Jonah spake shall surely come to pass." Speaking of how if they don't repent, then the Nineveh will be destroyed.
Right.
So this has to be before Nineveh was destroyed, and either during the time of Jonah or not too far after.
So that makes Tobit a contemporary with Jonah, is what you're basically saying.
Right.
So when you read in the book of Tobit, you could think of Jonah as there at the same time. Now, guys, wait. If it's only one teacher that you need to listen to, one, why is Tobit doing his thing here and Jonah is over there? Because the Most High used brothers for different purposes.
Right.
There be members many, but the body is Christ. But brothers gonna be here, brothers gonna be there. We're not necessarily all gonna be unified in one spot. Right.
Salaki.
Go ahead.
And when you read the book of Tobit, you see the purpose of Tobit in that place. Right. So you have to, like Alon said, you got to go back and read these accounts.
Right.
And this is also a cut to people who say you can't keep the feast days or commandments outside of Jerusalem, because literally the next verse says, "But keep thou the law and the commandments, and show thyself merciful and just, that it may go well with thee." So he's being commanded to still keep the commandments, even though he's not in Jerusalem.
Now, an issue with that is going to be also in Nahum,
right?
Who's telling you to keep the feast, and he's in Nineveh,
right?
So what are we doing when we scoffing brothers for keep? Today we was called wicked in a clubhouse room for inviting brothers and trying to keep the Passover. We was called wicked for doing that. That was described as placing a burden on the people.
Wow.
And it was called a sin as well. Someone said it, because we're keeping Passover and we're not in Jerusalem, we're actually sinning and breaking the commandments. Now, I see what he means by that, but there's a problem with that, because we see Tobit and Nahum encouraging brothers to keep the feast even in captivity. Somebody got to mute their phone, please.
Let me read that, Nahum.
Yeah, get that.
Book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 15. "Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off."
So he's in Nineveh saying, keep the feast.
Right.
To prove he's in Nineveh, you just read the first verse of the chapter.
Yep.
Nahum chapter 1 verse 1. "The burden of Nineveh."
Read on.
"The book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite."
Now, is he not an Israelite because they call him an Elkoshite?
No, when you look up Elkoshite, the scholars don't even know where that land is, but they portrayed him being an Elkoshite because of the land Elkosh. But nobody today can tell you where Elkosh is.
So it doesn't matter that he's called an Elkoshite then. He's still an Israelite.
That's right. Salakia.
Go ahead.
So Nahum is also contemporary with
No,
they were just bringing.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
So Nahum is much later, but you have Jonah and Tobit. They are contemporaries.
Right.
We are led to believe that based on what the scriptures reveal.
right.
Okay.
So that's our first prophet tonight, guys. We're gonna go to the next. Go ahead.
That's Captain Israel.
Go ahead.
Captain Israel. Earlier when you was on that clubhouse and you had brought out Judges 5:11, you had mentioned Judges 5:11, but you didn't elaborate on the beginning part of it, which was, "They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous act." And I understand why you didn't elaborate, because they wouldn't have understood. But it says in the places of and the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, meaning in captivity. In the places of our captivity, we will rehearse the righteous act. So by them saying that we wasn't supposed to keep the Passover in captivity, that's telling us right there we supposed to rehearse the righteous act
Right.
In the places of drawing water. You see what I'm saying? But I yield.
That's a good point, brother. That's Captain Israel out in Alabama. The next prophet we have is Amos. Amos prophesied during the reign of Uzziah, that's the king of Judah, and Jeroboam. He was the king of Israel. All right. You can get Zechariah 14:5 to show you what was going on with Amos. Go ahead.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 14 and verse 5.
Go ahead.
And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah.
See?
And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee.
I didn't bring you here to say that Zechariah was contemporary with Amos. I was saying Zechariah certifies Amos because Amos prophesied during a certain season. Read Amos 1.
This book of Amos chapter 1.
Wait, we're going to Amos chapter 1, all right, and verse 1. All right, read.
The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake.
So now, wait a minute. Jeroboam, the son of Joash. Go back to 2 Kings 14:25. I need to see something.
Book of 2 Kings,
23, rather.
chapter 14, verse 23. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel.
This Amos is prophesying at the same time as Jonah is walking around. Amos is prophesying during the same time as Tobit is walking around.
That's amazing.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, y'all. And some are in Jerusalem, and some are in the split with the other 10 tribes.
Right.
Who made their own kings, right?
Right.
And this is all history we got to teach these people.
Yeah, because it's in the Bible.
Right.
There.
We skipping Kings and Chronicles to get to weightier matters and prove that we the Israelites, and then we want to show that this place is going to be destroyed based on current events and what's going on. And then we want to talk about, how to live your life, but we also have to show you the history of this nation that you are a part of.
This is like part 2 of the class that you taught a couple months ago, where you was teaching the 12 tribes, their mothers, their names.
Years ago. That was years ago.
Yeah.
Well, this, you need to know your family. So this is your family that we teaching about now. This is like a part 2 of learning your family.
So now look, Amos prophesied during a certain season. Read it. Amos 1:1.
This book of Amos 1:1. The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake.
And that earthquake was mentioned in Zechariah chapter 14:5. Say it again.
Because Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 5. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with you.
Now you see that? So now you can go and look up Uzziah and try to see what was going on during that season. Jeroboam, the king of Israel, the second, he was wicked, and there was a lot going on. And you can say, man, Amos was prophesying while this man was doing all this. And then you could really put weight on the words of what Amos was saying. All right, everybody understand?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, let's get.
Araya made a good point. He said that's a cut on people asking why we have different camps.
Yeah, you got these are minor prophets right now, but you have minor prophets prophesying at the same time. They got different messages in different places. Right? The next prophet we're going to talk about is Hosea. Okay? The next prophet we're going to talk about is Hosea. Hosea prophesied during Uzziah's reign, King Jotham's reign, King Ahaz's reign, King Hezekiah's reign, that's Judah, and he also prophesied during Jeroboam II. So now, Jonah Tobit, Amos, and Hosea cross paths in their time of prophecy.
Right.
See that?
Right.
The Bible is not written in chronological order. The prophets are not laid out in chronological order.
Right.
So what you might think is, well, this brother was first, and because he comes first in the book, you're about to find out something really great later. It's not even like that. All right. But we helping you link the time periods by telling you the kings that they was under. Give me 1 Chronicles 5 and verse 6. And I don't want Priest Daniel is here, who's an expert in Israel's history. So if you want to say anything, Adonai, anytime, you got it.
You said 5 and 6.
Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 5 and verse 6.
What's that say?
Berah, his son, whom Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, carried away captive. He was prince of the Reubenites.
So now, who is Hosea's father? Hold that verse. Now read Hosea 1 and 1.
Book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 1. The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beeri.
Now that Beeri, the scholars identify it as this Berah. Read it again. Call it and read it.
1 Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 6. Berah, his son, whom Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, carried away captive. He was prince of the Reubenites.
What tribe was Hosea?
A Reubenite.
A Reubenite.
Because his father is the prince of the Reubenites.
Oh, wow.
See that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, I always thought Hosea was Ephraim.
Yeah, I did too.
I swear I did. If brothers can edify on that, we will listen. I always thought Hosea was Ephraim, but when the scholars say that Beeri is this Beeri from 1 Chronicles 5 and 6, well, he's the prince of the Reubenites. That does not mean that he has to be from Reuben, though. He could be an Ephraimite who is the prince of the Reubenites, but I don't read that like that. I read that as he's the prince of the Reubenites.
I ain't never seen that before.
Never seen that, right?
I'm saying I never seen somebody being a prince of a tribe and not from that tribe.
I like I said, guys, my Bible got stolen last week. My book bag and the camp camera was stolen from me, and I have 7 years of notes in my Bible, and I would have been able to put my finger on why I thought Hosea was an Ephraimite, because I had it precepted in my book and written there, but I no longer have access to my sword. It is gone in the wind. Brothers broke into the cars and took our bags thinking they was getting something. They got my priceless Bible, but I'm pretty sure they probably threw that in the trash, man. I'll never see it again. But I was always led to believe that Hosea was an Ephraimite. I'm just gonna check something real quick. Give me a second here.
Did you click on 3 for family?
I really thought he was an Ephraimite. I don't have the information in front of me. Like I said, I don't have my old sword, but I had a reason for thinking that Hosea was an Ephraimite. But after preparing this study, there's 144 people watching. After preparing this study, when I went through the histories, many scholars conclude that Berah from 1 Chronicles 5 and 6 is the Beeri that is the father of Hosea, and that man was a prince of the Reubenites, which leads us to believe that Hosea is a Reubenite. All right, let's move on to the next prophet. And at the end of this, for a bonus, I'm gonna tell you the names, what the names of all these prophets mean at the end of this. All right, for a bonus. Go ahead, Doc.
For you, Hosea 9 might have been what
did it say?
Where it says, it says,
You gotta speak loud.
the watchman of Ephraim was with my God, but the prophet is a snare of a fowler in all his ways, and hatred in the house of his God. And that's in like verse 8. So that I believe, like when people see, like when a prophet mentions a certain place or certain inheritance of the Israelites, they believe, okay, then he must be from this tribe because it's on Mount Ephraim. But we also see certain Levites are from Mount Ephraim.
So you can't draw that conclusion. Yeah. I think the best we would have is that his father was the same Berah from 1 Chronicles 5 and 6.
That's what the scholars are saying when I'm seeing.
That's what they're saying, right?
What
That's what I found when I was doing this study. All right. The next prophet we have is Micah. Micah prophesied under Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So did Hosea. Hosea was under Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, and Uzziah. And they mentioned Jeroboam II. For Micah, you see no such thing. All you see is Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. But guess what that means? That means Micah and Hosea was contemporary, right? At some point, their ministries crossed paths, okay? That doesn't mean that Micah and Amos were contemporary, because Amos was during Uzziah and Hosea was during Uzziah. But for Micah, it does not say he was during Uzziah. He begins with Jotham. That's after Uzziah. Right. It's Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah. But under Micah, it was just Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. That makes him younger than Amos and Hosea. Y'all understand that? Go to Jeremiah 26 and 18. And you get Micah 1 and 1.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 26 and verse 18. And
let the people get there. Jeremiah 26 and 18. Now read Micah 1 verse 1.
This book of Micah.
Y'all gonna learn how to find these prophets in your book too, because I know you probably still flipping trying to find I know you're still flipping trying to find where Micah's at. Some of y'all read Micah 1 and 1. Watch this.
This book of Micah chapter 1 and verse 1.
Come on.
The word of the Lord that came to Micah the Morashite in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem.
So it told you the kings who he was under when he was prophesying. And it also told you where he's from. Micah the Morashite. He's certified by Jeremiah. Read it in Jeremiah.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 26 and verse 18. Micah the Morashite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah.
See that? So he's certifying Micah the former. So one could be led to believe that Micah is earlier. Now you able to find the time periods. In this class, I'm not giving you BC such and such. I'm not doing that. All of that is speculation. The purpose of this class is for you to know who was king when a book of your prophets was being written. Now you can go and look up the lives of these kings and events that surrounded them and connect it to the book of the Bible of the prophet. You can look at Micah's prophecy and say he was saying this while Hezekiah was doing this.
Yeah, right.
Micah was saying this while Jotham was doing this. Micah was saying this while Ahaz was doing this. And the scriptures become three-dimensional. You understand? That's the purpose of this study. All right. So we have brother Micah, who was certified by Jeremiah.
That is prophesying during the time of Hezekiah.
That's right.
Which we know who else was prophesying during Hezekiah, but we're gonna get
to that. We're gonna get to that. All right. And we get into it right now.
Okay.
We get into it right now. Slack it. Brother was struggling with the spelling. All right. Let me put it on the screen. For the YouTube, we putting it on the screen. Next, we have the mighty Isaiah. Isaiah prophesied during Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So Isaiah's ministry is before Micah, because Micah didn't come along until Jotham. But guess who he was prophesying with? Isaiah was prophesying with Hosea. Isaiah was prophesying with Amos that whole time. Yeah. Now you would believe that, well, Amos comes later in the Bible, so Amos is down the line. Yeah. See how you would be led to believe that? Why the order of the canon is the certified text, right? The codified text, what we have as our 80 books, we will call that our canon, right? But Isaiah was contemporary with Amos and Hosea. Right. He was prophesying at the same time. And it should make sense, because while Isaiah was prophesying, the kingdom was split and Hezekiah was entrenched. Right. He had enemies round about, and Israel was on the other side. They wasn't with us. They was actually joining with our enemies.
Right.
And Isaiah prophesied a doctrine of reconciliation of all them Israelites coming back.
Right.
Right? Go to Isaiah 7 and 3. Let me show you this. Isaiah 7 and verse 3.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 7 and verse 3. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou, and Shear-Jashub, thy son.
Hold on. Read it again.
Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou, and Shear-Jashub, thy son.
This is Isaiah's child. His name is Shear-Jashub. That's his son. Read on.
At the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field.
Now look at Isaiah. Now this is easy. You got Isaiah 7 and 3. Then go to Isaiah 8 and 3.
For his new son.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 3. And I went into the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher-Shalal-Haz-Baz.
Maher-Shalal-Baz.
Maher-Shalal-Baz.
Now that is Isaiah's second son. All right. We don't have time to get all the events around each person. We're giving you a list of the prophets, things to look at that concern them, and the kings that they prophesied during, so you can connect the dots in your own study.
Right.
All right. If we taught everything Uzziah did, Jotham did, Ahaz and Hezekiah, we'd be here for 18 hours. We can't do that for you. But we're giving you things that you can take as an index to go study. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions thus far?
That's the lucky one.
Go ahead.
Hey, you said Isaiah prophesied around the same time as who?
Isaiah prophesied the same time as Micah. Not the same time, I mean exactly at the same moment. But during the reigns of these kings, they would have to have prophesied at the same time. So Isaiah prophesied during Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. That is the same thing that Hosea did. And that also crosses paths with Amos, because he prophesied during Uzziah. So at some point, him and Isaiah was prophesying at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Hosea and Isaiah's prophecy is synonymous. All the same kings. And Micah, right? Because you have Ahaz and Hezekiah there and Jotham, right? So these are all contemporary prophets during the same time periods. All right. Next, we have any other questions?
Just a quick little sidebar.
Go ahead.
On Isaiah's second son, Maher-Shalal-Baz, it means quickly to plunder.
Yep. Because we look at the words that come next. Read Isaiah 8 and 4.
Okay. The book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria.
They shall be plundered quickly.
That's why the whole reason he's birthed is because of the prophetic reason in Isaiah chapter 7, because the northern kingdom partnered up with the heathen trying to take over Judah. He said it's not gonna happen.
That's important to know. So now y'all gonna be looking at these prophets through a whole new lens. Like, oh, it wasn't just Isaiah just talking. It was events surrounding that. Right. And when I go to the Kings and the Chronicles to see that, right, I understand much better.
Right.
The next prophet we have is Zephaniah. Okay. The next prophet we have is Zephaniah, and I'm gonna have to explain something to you. Go to Zephaniah 1 and 1 and read that.
It's the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
The word of the Lord which came unto Zephaniah, the son of Kashai, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, the son of Hezekiah, in the days of Josiah, Hezekiah, Salakia, in the days of Josiah, the son of Amos, king of Judah.
Now, Josiah is king when Zephaniah is prophesying. But there's something you need to see. Josiah is the son of Ammon, who's the son of Manasseh, who's the son of Hezekiah. So Zephaniah is much later, right? Hezekiah is during Isaiah's time. Then he has a son and who has a son. So Zephaniah is much later.
Right.
Also, he's called the son of Cushi. When you look up that name, it literally means blackness. So Zephaniah's father's name was blackness. Yo, listen to me. Listen to me. That word Cushi gets translated as Cushite, as an actual Ethiopian. And we know Zephaniah is not an Ethiopian.
Right.
He prophesied the Ethiopian slaughter.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Right.
Yes.
So he's not an Ethiopian, but his father's name is literally the meaning of the word for Ethiopian.
Right.
Blackness, black in face.
Right.
So Zephaniah's father was a super dark brother.
Yeah.
That's just something that you could take with you to grow on.
Yeah,
Yakim Yah just sent me. We could have used this.
That would have helped us. We did this study ourselves, Yakim Yah. You too late.
Black.
You too late. Go into exile. Now,
Barnabas and Simeon were called
shit.
black.
now, Barnabas and Simeon were called Niger, right?
Right.
So that's just a tidbit to take with you. Cushi actually means blackness. So his father's name was the adjective form of what the noun word Cushite means.
Right.
But he's not a Cushite, and that's proven in the prophecy of Zephaniah, who's getting on them heathens in Ethiopia.
Right.
I'm telling you that now.
Right.
All right. So just some jewels for y'all. Just some jewels for y'all. We moving right along. Moving right along. And if anybody on the clubhouse stage want to say anything, of course. We got a lot of wisdom on the stage.
Yo, that's crazy because Zephaniah's rebuke on against Ethiopia came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just started blacking on that. Literally blacking.
Yeah, black.
All right. So now our next prophet is the mighty Nahum. Now, this is going to be difficult. Nahum was at the end of the Assyrian Empire.
Right.
How do I get to say that? Like, how do I get to assert that? I'm gonna explain. Go to Nahum 1. Go to Nahum 3 and read verse 8. If you just called into the class, please mute your phone. If you just called into the class, please mute your phone. If you just called into the class, please mute your phone. I'm gonna mute you then. I gave you a chance. All right.
God.
Now here's my assertion. Nahum is at the end of the Assyrian Empire. But how do I get to say that? Based on what facts? How can I prove that? Well, a lot of this is going to be difficult to prove. You have to do the scholarship.
Don't do it.
No, not right now.
Right.
Tell him he just stay until we do question and answer. If you're on the clubhouse and you want to ask a question from the audience, just stay until we do question and answer. All right, we got enough wisdom on the stage right now. Now look, the reason I'm saying this is because something that Nahum prophesied that helps you find him in the historical timeline.
Right.
Read that, Nahum 3 and 8.
It's Nahum 3 and 8.
Go ahead.
Art thou better than Populus? No, that was situated among the rivers, that had the waters round about it.
Most people are going to read that and not even know what they just read.
Right. Whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea.
Now, when you read populous, no, some people don't even understand that a name of a city was just said.
Right.
Populous meaning many inhabitants. No is a term for the city of Thebes in Egypt. Okay. No is a name for the city of Thebes in Egypt. It was called No Ammon for the name of their god. That's another way of saying the city of Thebes in Egypt. And that city fell. Now, you have no written here, but you also have it in Jeremiah 46 and 25. Get that. Jeremiah 46 and 25. Get that.
Khan, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 46 and verse 25. The Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saith, behold, I will punish the multitude of nodes.
Of who?
Of nodes.
Again, when you look at the Bible cross-reference and parallel, the Alexandrian traditions, like the ESV, the NIV, they actually change it to say Thebes. They don't even leave it as no.
Right.
Certain Bibles cross-reference it with brackets and put Thebes in brackets.
Right.
All right, read it again.
Oh, Khan Salaki.
The
The Lord of Jeremiah chapter 46 and verse 25. The Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saith, Behold, I will punish the multitude of No and Pharaoh and Egypt with their gods and their kings.
See how No is called a place that has a Pharaoh and it's in Egypt. There's another proof that substantiates what I'm saying to you. So No is Thebes. And here we have Jeremiah saying that No is a place that has a Pharaoh and is in Egypt. Give me Ezekiel 30 and 14. Yep.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 30 and verse 14.
Go ahead.
And it reads, And I will make Pathros desolate, and will set fire in Zoan, and will execute judgment in No.
And No is another Pathros in all of these places. Make reference to Canaanite land, Egyptian land. No is Thebes in Egypt. That time period would have been after the end of the Assyrian Empire, because he's talking about it already being judged. Y'all see that? I'm gonna try to say it smoother. Are you better than Thebes, who was by the rivers and had waters round about it, whose rampart was the sea and her wall was from the sea? Ethiopia and Egypt was her strength, and it was infinite. Put and Lubim were her helpers, yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. That happened at a certain time period. So if Nahum is talking as if that has already happened, and he's talking about Nineveh, he must be talking about the end of the Assyrian Empire. Everybody understand that?
That makes sense.
That's a little advanced, but that's something for you to go and study. You got to go and look. When did Nahum prophesy? Y'all all gave me some armor to add on to the understanding. Let me see what the scholars are saying. Look, don't get it in your mind that because we Hebrew Israelites, we do not consult scholarship. While we was in slavery, getting our backs whipped in for our disobedience, Esau had all this time to compile all this information. That doesn't mean he's better than you. That just means he got to do it first. Now it's our turn. We're not going to rebuild the car. The car already got wheels on it. I'm going to put rims on it and tents, and I'm going to make it better. I'm gonna put a turbo on the engine, and I'm going to drive it to the right place. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not going to throw out scholarship that's already been done. We're going to scrutinize it. Doing this study, I came across so many biblical timelines of so many scholars saying this man prophesied during this era BC. And do you know none of them agree? None of them agree. So if I was really just trusting Esau's scholarship, I would have picked one of them timelines and been teaching it to y'all and lying to you, because they don't even agree with each other. The only things I'm showing you are things that are proven, that I can prove, that you can research yourself and see that was true. So when I tell you that he's at the end of the Assyrian Empire, and because that, my proof of that is that he's talking about the city of Thebes, which was taken away. That happened at a certain time. If he's talking about it in past tense, he's beyond a certain level of time. And if he's talking about Nineveh after Thebes, Nineveh didn't last forever. So he must be at the end of the Assyrian Empire. That's what I'm saying. All right. Hope everybody understand that. Let me spell brother's name right. All right. Next we have the brother Habakkuk. The brother Habakkuk. All right. Habakkuk. He want to say Habakkuk. You can say it like that. All right. My fault. Habakkuk, right? Habakkuk.
It sounds more harder.
It sounds tougher like that? I don't know. Habakkuk is also going to be a prophet that you're going to have a difficult time dating. Why? Because he doesn't happen when we have kings. It's a difficult time. We're in captivity. Some of these prophets are during the captivity. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. That's how it begins. It doesn't say during the days of. So how do we know when Habakkuk prophesied? Easy. We read the Apocrypha. Habakkuk is a contemporary of Daniel. Daniel was under who? Brothers?
King.
Brothers winging it. Who was Daniel under?
Daniel was during the time of Nebuchadnezzar and
You gotta talk about it.
Nebuchadnezzar and in the Persian captivity. What king was that?
That's what I was thinking of.
This is class. Y'all can raise your hands and answer that question. When did Daniel prophesy? I'm trying not to tell you because we got to go to him.
Darius.
Darius. Oh, it was Darius.
Come on, guys.
It's like-
Y'all killing me. Like, I don't teach on that. All right. So you have Daniel, right? Is a contemporary of Habakkuk. How can I prove that? Let's go to Bel and the Dragon in your Apocrypha and read verse 33. Bel and the Dragon in your Apocrypha. Read verse 33.
This is the history of Bel and the Dragon, verse 33.
Go ahead.
Now there was in Jewry a prophet called Habakkuk, who had made pottage and had broken bread in a bowl, and was going into the field for to bring it to the reapers. But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head.
Say what?
And bare him by the hair of his head.
So the angel of the Lord grabbed Habakkuk and picked him up by the hair of his head.
Yeah.
All right. Why? Because Habakkuk was kind of slick with his mouth. Read it again. What he said to the angel.
And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is.
So we know that Daniel was in Babylon
Right.
under Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Up until the time of Cyrus, Daniel's in Babylon. Right. Daniel is in Babylon, and Habakkuk is saying, I never even seen Babylon. Right? I don't know where that's at. What you telling me to go see this man?
Right.
And the angel was like, see, you're getting a little flip. So he grabbed. Say what? Somebody said something.
I think that's someone called it.
I think that was on the call.
That was on the call. Somebody said something. Okay, brothers might have had their phone unmuted. So the angel grabbed Habakkuk by his hair and did what? Read.
God, and Salakia. Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den.
So vehemency means like just how adamant and powerful his spirit was. He whisked Habakkuk away and brought him to the den. And what did he do?
And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which God hath sent thee. And Daniel said, Thou hast remembered me, O God. Neither hast thou forsaken me that seek thee and love thee.
So who brought Daniel food in the lion's den? Habakkuk did that. So they had to be living at the same time. So Habakkuk was a prophet during the time of Nebuchadnezzar and our captivity with Nebuchadnezzar up until the time of Cyrus. I don't say he lived that long, but he was definitely there during Nebuchadnezzar because he's contemporary with Daniel.
Right.
Do you have a theory on where he was at
Before he got taken?
before he was taken in Babylon?
No, I do not. Do you?
I have a theory that he may have been somewhere where Esther and them was at, but it's just a theory.
All right. Well, we could pontificate, but when you can give a strong reason, we'll teach it. All right. Which brings us to the next brother, Daniel. All right. Go to Daniel 1:1.
Book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Let the people get there. Hold on. Right? Daniel.
God. Book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim.
Wait a minute. So now we can place Habakkuk. If he's contemporary with Daniel, and Daniel was in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, then that means Habakkuk was during the reign of Jehoiakim. Right. So go back to your notes, and next to Habakkuk put Jehoiakim. I ain't want to like give it away so that the next person can have some value. So Daniel answered the question of when Habakkuk was prophesying as far as Israelite kings. Right? So now you have Jehoiakim. Read on.
And reign of the Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it.
And he took Jerusalem. Right? That's when Daniel was prophesying. Daniel we use as a key prophet to teach the Feast of Dedication. Okay? The Feast of Dedication goes into Alexander the Great. And Daniel gave an amazing prophecy explaining how that was all going to happen. The fall of the nations leading up to the notable horn coming out of the goat's head. I can't go into that right now. It's a lot, but Daniel is notable for many things. He also prophesied the rededication of the temple. The temple was profaned during the time of the Maccabees under Antiochus Epiphanes, and Daniel prophesied a day where it would be rededicated, and the Maccabees fulfilled that. Amongst other things, Daniel prophesied a lot, man. When you go to Daniel, one of the kings turned into a beast and was roaming around to make a point. The Most High jacked him up. Daniel saw, when people say the writing is on the wall, they get that from the book of Daniel. All right, because a hand appeared and wrote on the wall, "Your kingdom is finished." Okay,
that's terrible.
So, somebody said this class is hard for me to understand. I know. So, what we're teaching right now is the prophets and when they prophesy. So you yourself can go into the Bible, find the kings that they prophesied during, the events that was happening, and you can connect the prophet to that time period and make sense of why certain things was being prophesied. It's a lesson to teach you to go study on your own. We basically compiling reasonable information, because if you go on the internet right now and say, when did Joel prophesy, you're going to get 15 answers. What Sons of Thunder just did is, as brothers, we did scholarship that we are led to believe is fair, and we're showing you the why for it. All right, if other brothers show you different things, just allow them to show you why. All right, this is our study to show you the why for it. That's all that's happening right now. We're not necessarily breaking down the events of Jehoiakim. We're telling you Daniel was during Jehoiakim's time. Right. And we're connecting Daniel to Habakkuk, because Habakkuk is a contemporary of Daniel. Why? Because he brought Daniel food in the lion's den. Everybody understand what I'm saying? You want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a way to help you keep up mentally with it is, don't look at the prophet as the reference. Look at the king who ruled at that time as a reference, or the event that was happening, what captivity it was in, because in the time of one king, multiple prophets may have been prophesied. So that's going to help you have a point of reference. Think about that king who's mentioned in Daniel chapter 1. That's in the time of Daniel, and then Nebuchadnezzar came and took over. So Babylonian captivity, that's the event. And then we go to Bel and Dragon to show Habakkuk, which shows that they were in Babylonian captivity because he asked them to go to Babylon. So the point of reference is Babylon captivity. Right. So under that, Daniel and Habakkuk.
Captain Israel said, just jot down the scriptures and read the books in your own time to learn the history. Right. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Kind of one, go ahead.
This might help people out, right? Everybody knows the story. Am I in the Matrix? I got a red ball.
No, you good.
I don't want to hear you.
Nah, you good.
Okay. So everybody knows in 2 Samuel chapter 7, when the Most High sent the prophet Nathan to go talk to David and tell him what was going to happen, right? Well, what Joel and SOT is doing is they're doing that with the kings, because you had a lot of these different that were during the times of different kings, and the Most High raised these prophets up, things similar to what Nathan did with David. Nathan and Gad, what they did with David, these prophets were doing these things with other Israelite kings, prophesying and telling them what was going to happen, as well as some of the heathen kings too. So it's really the same thing, but most people know David, so that kind of makes sense to them. They're showing you that this is a continued happen, not just with David, but with other kings, both Israel and heathen kings were the most prophets during these times to prophesy about things to come. It's this thing that's with Gad and Nathan. Right. Hopefully that would be you.
Khan, you was going out a little bit, but we heard your point. Like, you made your point clearly. The water for that.
People believe the prophet's in, and then it's like years before another prophet.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's not like a prophet prophesies and then until he dies, another one doesn't come. No, they cross paths. Remember, the kingdom split. You had Israelite prophesying for Israel, and you had Israelites prophesying for Judah in different places. Because you that's the way the Lord had it set up.
And in the time of Elijah, you had hundreds of prophets that had to be hid from being slaughtered.
There you go.
So you understand there were multiple prophets all in one. Same thing with Micah, Micah, right? In the scriptures, there were prophets who came and prophesied before the king, before him as well.
Con. You got to clean that up and make it easy to understand. All right. All right, that brings us to the next prophet, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, write his name. Go ahead, so you can put it on the screen. And Jeremiah is one of my favorite books of the Bible. All right. Jeremiah did his best to try to save Israel from getting jacked up, and Zedekiah was really hard-headed. Because of Zedekiah's wickedness, all his wives were taken as slaves, his male children were slaughtered, and his eyes were put out, and he was carried away as a slave himself. During Jeremiah's time, they were so wicked, they was doing idolatry in the temple. And Jeremiah was like trying his best to turn brothers away from that. And he prophesied under Josiah, Jehoiakim, and Zedekiah.
And Jehoiachin.
And Jehoiachin is between Jehoiakim and Zedekiah.
Yeah, that's Jehoiakim's son.
Right. Jehoiachin.
Or Jeconiah or Coniah is what you'll see him referred to as in the book of Jeremiah.
You got to talk louder for the clubhouse.
Jehoiachin is also referred to in the scriptures as Jeconiah or Coniah, which you'll see in Jeremiah chapter 22.
Baruch was his scribe, so we have the book of Baruch
in the Apocrypha.
Right, in the Apocrypha. That makes Baruch contemporary to Jeremiah, right? And that makes Zephaniah and Jeremiah contemporary because they both prophesied during Josiah. I'm gonna say that again. Baruch and Jeremiah are contemporary because Baruch is Jeremiah's scribe. When Jeremiah is talking, Baruch writing that. Okay. When you read the book of Jeremiah, it says that the king looked at the words that Jeremiah brought to him and didn't like it, and took a penknife and cut out parts that he did not like and burned it in the fire. That's in the book. That's recorded in the book of Jeremiah. Then the word of the Lord came back to Jeremiah and gave him all the words that the king had cut out and many more like it. It says that. So in the book of Jeremiah, you actually see scrolls being rewritten.
Yep.
Now here's where the Muslim comes out of the damn rafters like he knows something. And oh, your Bible's been rewritten. Your book has been rewritten. No, they don't know what they're talking about because the Bible tells you the original scroll was just destroyed. The Bible is telling you the original prophecy was destroyed, how it was destroyed, and then what happened afterwards. The words of the Lord came back to Jeremiah, and it was added to it many more things. That is the book of Jeremiah you have right now. The original scroll of Jeremiah, the king vandalized that. See, did the Bible try to hide that?
No.
That's too high for Ishmael.
No.
He can't get that.
No.
All right. And that's why his Quran is 12% the size of your Bible. They bragging about memorizing a damn video game instruction manual. All right.
They would have to accept that breakdown because they teach that their Quran in totality came down from Gabriel the angel.
Oh no, they cut anyway. First of all, we're not going to get on Islam because we're going to get on you another day. Right now, we're teaching our people who their kings are and who their prophets are. All right. So again, Jeremiah is contemporary with Baruch because Baruch was his scribe. Jeremiah is also contemporary with Zephaniah. Okay. Because Zephaniah prophesied during the days of Josiah, and so did Jeremiah. All right. Add that to your quiver of wisdom and knowledge. And I hope y'all enjoying this. It's not going to be much longer. Okay. I hope y'all enjoying this.
Y'all was stopped in the chat say Habakkuk braids got pulled out.
God, he grabbed that brother by the middle of his crown, man. Get up here. You coming with me. Go feed my prophet in the lion's den.
I told Daniel to hurry up and take this bread, yo.
Now think about this. Be spiritual for a minute. What are you going to think if you're Daniel and Habakkuk manifests in front of you with food? You're going to think Habakkuk is an angel. Right? But he actually is. He is. He's a messenger of God. See that? The next brother we have, Yahweh said, I'm eating that food. Hey, that's our beloved brother. All right. Y'all got to get on these clubhouse bills that we have, man, and get these scriptures every single day. All right. The next brother we have is Obadiah. Some of our favorite cuts come from Obadiah. If you want to prove that there are a multitude of saviors for our OT brothers who like to say there's only one savior, because Isaiah did say that. Hold on. God is the savior in general. Yes. Yahweh does everything in general, pursuant to the Apocrypha of the book of Sirach. He who liveth forever does everything in general. That's Yahweh, right? Right. But he sends a multitude of saviors. Right. And you can prove that with the book of Obadiah. Yeah. The book of Obadiah also prophesies that Edom is the only nation that's going to cease. Right. There's going to be other nations that's going to proceed into the kingdom and be our servants. Right. But Edom, the time is going to come where you got to come off here. Right. That's Obadiah's prophecy, right? And Obadiah is another prophet that's very difficult to date, to find when he prophesied, because he does not say a time period. Hold on. If you I have to mute you. You got to mute your phones when y'all call into the call. All right. Now, when we do lessons rebuking an Edomite or debating somebody, we get a lot of viewers, right? Yeah. But the history lessons, not many people watch. So applaud yourselves for having the spirit to learn this history, right? Because you're going to be on a higher level of understanding. This is important. Who wonders when Obadiah prophesied? A lot of people don't put that together. We have some things we are led to believe. All right. You cannot date Obadiah by his book itself, but you have to think for a second. Obadiah says some things. Let's go there. Let's go there. Obadiah says certain things. Let's examine, right? All right, let me get there with you, right? I'm using a Bible with no precepts in a brand new Bible because they stole my Bible, man. My Bible and my Apocrypha is, I put a reward on it, man. Please return it back to me, brother. If you've got the kindness in your heart, just set it on the ground where you stole it from, out of that parking lot, where the glass was on the ground from the car you broke into. Put my Bible and Apocrypha right there. I'm gonna come get it, yo. Obadiah, read Obadiah 1 and then read verse 12.
It's Obadiah verse 1.
11.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Jump to verse 11.
Verse 11. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them.
Say what?
Even thou was as one of them.
So the book of Obadiah is saying, Edom, when it was time for Jerusalem to be besieged, you was just like the people that was sieging us.
That's right.
You was just like one of them. You didn't have the courage to come up and buck us, but when you seen the nations come against us, you was in league with them. Come on.
You were a cheerleader.
Yeah, you was a little cheerleader. Read on.
But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger.
Oh, Obadiah says Edom is our brother. Mm-hmm. He's being sarcastic. Right. Mm-hmm. He's being sarcastic because at the end of this, he says, you're going to die. Right. But read.
Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
So when the Christians put on a rocket jetpack and fly into the class through the wall like the Kool-Aid man, right? Break the damn wall down. You can't abhor Edomite. That's your brother. Right. What did Obadiah say? You watched the day that your brother was in distress. You was cheerleading, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you thought you was going to slide? Right. Read on.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Esau was watching us get besieged and creeping in there and taking gain.
Yeah.
Let me get this golden goblet. Let me get this golden vessel.
Yeah.
Let me get these lambs.
No, I hate them too. I'm with y'all. Where's the women?
Right.
Oh, y'all raping her? Let me.
Right.
I'll watch the door. I got next. I know that's what you was doing, Esau.
Yeah.
Read on.
Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape.
And some of us got a bag and took our script and our sword and fled with our pregnant wives and our sons. And Esau was right there. Where y'all going?
Right.
And cut us down. Obadiah seen that. The Lord showed it to him. Read on.
Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
And some stayed there to fight
Right.
and try to hold our ground. And you snitched where we was at.
Yeah.
See that? Read on.
For the day of the Lord is near upon all the evil.
And y'all gonna get judged for that.
Sure.
Now, what event is Obadiah talking about? He's talking about when the Chaldeans came and destroyed the city. Right?
Right.
Now, how can we prove that? Go to 1 Esdras 4 and 45.
Yeah.
1 Esdras 4 and 45. How can we prove that?
It's the book of 1 Esdras.
Hold on. Let the people get there. Sister Arama Rashat Manasseh said Ecclesiastes 3 and 8 is a time for hate. Now, how come the sister can understand that? But the Christians on this app say we of our father the devil. How? They would say reading this is hate,
It's wrong.
but it's the Bible.
Right.
I asked him a question earlier. I said, I was talking to this dude named Pastor Sam. I said, you say we go out in the street and teach hate because we go out and teach that the Israelites are the top nation. And there's people that say they are Israelites. They not the real Jews. We are. You say that's going out and spewing hate.
Yeah.
Christ literally said that in Revelation. I know them that lie and say they are the Jews, but are not.
Right.
They the synagogue of Satan.
Right.
So when I go out and say the fake Jews are the devil, that's not spewing hate. I'm teaching Christ.
Exactly what Christ said.
But they hate me for that.
Yeah.
Do you know they didn't touch that with a 10-foot pole and move the conversation?
Of course.
Obadiah is burning these devils up, man.
That's right.
Read that. 1 Esdras 4 and 45.
It's the book of 1 Esdras chapter 4 and verse 45. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans.
See that?
That's right.
The Edomites burnt our temple when the Chaldeans came.
That's right.
What's the account of the Chaldeans coming to do that? 2 Kings 24.
It's the book of
Let them get it. 2 Kings 24. 2 Kings 24.
24 and 25. Really.
There's another account we did with our friends.
Okay, we're gonna hold that.
It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 24,
Good
and verse 1. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldees.
The who?
Bands of the Chaldees.
Didn't Ezra say that the Edomites was with the Chaldeans when they came?
God.
Here's when the Chaldeans came, but that was under Jehoiakim.
Right.
So now Obadiah prophesied after. You have to say it after or during the days of Jehoiakim,
Right.
because he knows of these events.
Right.
So he has to be after it happened or during the days of.
During the days of Jehoiakim's son Jehoiachin, because in the next chapter, while Jehoiachin is king of Judah, the Chaldees come back. In 2 Kings 25 and 5, it says, "And the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all the army was scattered from him."
So if it's very difficult to date Obadiah, but we know he has to be after the days of Jehoiakim.
Right.
Because he spoke of an event that happened during Jehoiakim's time. See how that's fair to say?
Right.
So he has to be after.
So who is Obadiah contemporary with?
Could be with
Zephaniah.
Zephaniah was during Josiah,
He's during
which is much earlier. You
I'm
can't
sorry.
prove that.
Salaki, I'm sorry.
Maybe Zedekiah.
Zedekiah.
So maybe Jeremiah. So far that we would know of, and maybe Habakkuk, right? And maybe Daniel during that time. right?
Yeah.
But we can't know for sure. But hopefully that that wisdom we shared gives you an idea of where to place him in the order of the prophets. The next brother we have.
Definitely during the time of Zedekiah, because the next it's like 2 verses down in chapter 25. It says, "And they slew the sons of Zedekiah."
You gotta talk way louder. Nobody get
it? It's 2 Kings 25:7 says, "And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with fetters of brass, and carried him to Babylon." So this is how we know that he was also during the time of Zedekiah, because Zedekiah's eyes was put out during the Chaldeans' siege in Jerusalem,
So
and his sons.
So and his furious rebuke is probably he's speaking as if this kind of just happened.
Yeah.
You understand? So either it's during the days or right afterwards, right? And that would place him with Jehoiakim or Jehoiachin. Jehoiakim or Jehoiachin. Hopefully y'all understand that. Now let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel.
All right.
That's our next prophet, Ezekiel.
Mighty prophet.
1 and 2.
Ezekiel 1 and 1 through 2.
You want 3 as well with Lucy?
I read that breakdown, but I didn't trust it. The breakdown of Buzai. The water, big 7. The water. Appreciate you, Art.
Praise to the Most High.
Brothers put the labor in to put this scholarship together. Thank you for your donation. Read Ezekiel 1 and 1.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th.
Oh, pause. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do have to touch on that.
Not to cut your wisdom. The sister said, I could have sworn I saw Obadiah mentioned in another book. That Obadiah cannot be the prophet Obadiah. They want to connect it to Ahaz. Ahab. No, I don't think you're right. I think it's Ahaz.
Ahab was the husband of Jezebel, and Jezebel was the one persecuting the prophets.
Okay, I'm gonna walk with you there. I swear I saw Ahaz connected with Obadiah in the time of King Ahaz. But some scholars connected to that. 2 Chronicles 28 and 17.
Well,
now we're about to study together. This is how me and my brothers do this.
That actually, it must be another Obadiah then, because 1 Kings 18, Obadiah is mentioned as well, and that's the chapter of Elijah dealing with Ahab and Jezebel persecuting the prophets, and that Obadiah hides like 100 or 70 prophets in a cave.
And he's not described as a prophet himself.
No.
And there's another Obadiah during the time of King Ahaz. 2 Chronicles 28 and 17. Read it.
Book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 28 and verse 17. For again, the Edomites had come and smitten Judah and carried away captives.
Come on.
The Philistines also had invaded the cities of the low country and of the south of Judah, and had taken Beth Shemesh and Ahalon and Gedoriah and Shakol.
I think the scholars are mentioning that, saying that this is when the Edomites attacked, and the Obadiah of the Bible was rebuking this action. But when we went through the scholarship and saw that it happened after the temple was burned, and they was as one of the heathens cheering it on. Even David spoke about this, right? They have that track record, right? So now we see, David had to prophesy, because that would have had to happen after David. So David was prophesying that they was gonna do that.
That's foretold.
Hold on for a second. Let me think for a second. When David said that in Psalms 137 and 9, he says, remember the children of Edom when they said, raise it, even to the ground.
He saw that.
He had to have seen that because it didn't happen yet.
Right.
Because he had them under subjection.
Right. The Edomites served David when he was king. Wow. That was a future prophet. Is David the author of that song? Check that. Because every song we just give it to David. David didn't write every song.
It doesn't.
Yeah, mine doesn't have it either, but the rest of them it does. But that particular one,
that particular psalm is not attributed to David. So you know what? Then we looked into it a little too far. because it doesn't necessarily say that David wrote that song.
It just says the songs of Zion.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's to say David wrote it.
Okay, so then that was good. That's good. That's good. Because I automatically attributed that song to David, but it was no way that David could have seen that because it didn't happen until after David. So that song must have long after. So that song must have been written by a brother that lived after that had occurred.
Witnessed it, actually witnessed
Yes, yes.
This
you are
is
correct.
This is the other Obadiah. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 3. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. So this is a third Obadiah.
Right.
So we don't connect the prophet Obadiah to these other gentlemen. These brothers had different purposes. The names in the Bible are shared by many brothers, especially like, for instance, Joel. There are many Joels, but one of them is the son of Edo the prophet, right? I'm sorry, one of them is the son of the prophets. Edo is not Joel's father, as far as I know. That's Zechariah. We had Ezekiel, right?
Yeah.
Let's reel it all back in now. Back to Ezekiel. Let's break him down. Go ahead.
Ezekiel 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity.
Now, who's king?
Jehoiachin.
So Ezekiel prophesied during Jehoiachin's
which
captivity.
Contemporary with Jeremiah.
Let's do it. So that means Ezekiel's going to be contemporary with Jeremiah,
possibly Obadiah,
Habakkuk, possibly Obadiah,
Must say
possibly Daniel. So far, because we're going to find something out later, but so far. So that means Ezekiel was kicking doctrine while Jeremiah was kicking doctrine, while Obadiah was kicking doctrine, while Habakkuk was kicking doctrine. Ezekiel was out there prophesying. And all these brothers seen the same thing, but saw different things. All right. So that's for your wisdom about the brother Ezekiel. Let me do something real quick on the YouTube, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry for the dead air. Let me fix something. Okay, this is what I wanted to fix. All right, all praises, all praises. All praises. So now, let's continue on. We're after Ezekiel. We're moving on to the next brother, and that is our brother Haggai. Our brother Haggai. All right. Remember, stay for the end, because we're going to tell you the names, what all these prophets' name means. Now, who is Haggai? When did he prophesy? He was during the captivity under King Darius. Let's get Haggai 1 and 1 to show that. Now, y'all going to learn to find these books in the Bible. Where's Haggai? Who's Haggai before and after? You're going to have to learn that. Some of these prophets, you can't find them. You need to know where they at. Okay, so we're going to also use this study to find where our prophets are at. Add that to your quiver. Do I know? If somebody tell me, if I'm a reader in a camp and somebody says, get Zephaniah, do I know where that is? If I'm a reader in a camp and someone says, pull Esther, can I turn to that? Do I know where that's at? Right? Brothers be slacking. Like that don't matter. Being a reader is one of the most important roles in a camp. You got to read well and you got to be quick on the sword, especially when brothers are contending for the truth in the street. Read this, Haggai 1 and 1.
Book of Haggai, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Yeah.
In the 2nd year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the 1st day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah. Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying,
if you're calling into the class and you're watching the YouTube, you have to mute your phone. This is the second time you called. The second time you call back in and do the same thing, it's the same number. Just mute your phone. You watching the YouTube. If you on the call, you have to mute your phone. Read that again. Our people just ears just got blown out the frame.
God. The book of Haggai, chapter 1, verse 1.
Go ahead.
In the second year of Darius the king,
Go back to the
in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest.
I wasn't listening to you. He's talking to me. What happened?
No, I was asking Isaiah, Daniel.
Did I connect Isaiah to Daniel?
I'm saying Haggai to Daniel.
We didn't go into Haggai yet. He's reading it. Read it again.
This book of Haggai, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month.
So Darius is king. Come on.
Came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel.
And he's during the reign of Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is not a king, but a governor.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. Zerubbabel is not a king, but a governor. When is Haggai prophesying? Go to the book of Ezra, chapter 3, verse 2. Go to the book of Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 2. When does Haggai prophesy?
It's the book of Ezra.
Wait, don't call it before you have it. Stop doing that.
It's the book of Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 2.
Read.
Then stood up Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and his brethren, the priests, and Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and builded an altar of the God of Israel to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God.
So Haggai is prophesying during Ezra.
Nice title for Moses.
And Moses is called the man of God. Stop. Put some respect on Moses' name. We got people doing anything they can to put Moses down, like they could do what he did, like they was willing to do it. You let the Muslims put more respect on Moses than you Christians, man. When Muslims say Moses, they say peace be upon him. When you say Moses, you talking about him like he did something wrong by serving the Lord and teaching the law. Y'all some hypocrites, man. Haggai was prophesying during the time of Zerubbabel, King Darius, the heathen, Jeshua, and Ezra. He's contemporaries of these brothers.
Wouldn't it also be Daniel?
And he would be a contemporary with Daniel. Wait.
Haggai is the second year of Darius.
Yeah, Darius.
But Daniel was during Nebuchadnezzar.
And Darius.
And Darius, you're right. Okay. And Nehemiah too.
Yeah,
right? So that's how you would place Haggai, by going to Ezra 3 and 2 and finding out when Zerubbabel and these brothers were doing such things. That was during that time period. We had come back and we had taken the charge and we was about to build again. Okay. The Water Pacifica, thank you so much. That was generous. The Water Christopher Johnson, thank you so much. That was generous. Thank you.
Did you want to go to my 12?
Why?
Because mentions Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel.
Is it making a point?
Because just to draw that connection.
Read it.
This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 12, verse 1.
Hold on. No, you read.
Now these are the priests and the Levites that went up with Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra. Right? And I just read that to just to show you, because he's showing you that this governor at the time, Zerubbabel, this was under the time of Nebuchadnezzar, right? Coming out of that captivity, the Babylonian captivity. So Haggai is given that the word to Zerubbabel, that means he was there at that time as well. Because Zerubbabel is present in Nehemiah 12 and 1. So that's how we know Nehemiah, he was prophesied during the time of Nehemiah as well.
Say that to the people.
We were just having a discussion and just confirming that Daniel is definitely and Haggai are definitely during the same time. When we read Daniel chapter 9 and start at verse 1, it says, in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. And the Haggai verse says that Haggai was in the second year. And we know that Daniel was still dealing with the Persians all the way up until King Cyrus. So Daniel had to be during the same time as Haggai. And this is definitely after Esther too, because it mentions King Ahasuerus.
Excellent scholarship. Thawada Tyler Hacker, thank you so much. Now, Haggai is during Darius, Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Ezra, and Nehemiah, contemporaries with those brothers, and Daniel. Okay, that would mean that we come into the next brother who would share that. Let's get Zechariah. He would share that. Let's see how. So what I'm doing on the screen is I'm putting in the comment the prophet that we're talking about, so you could cycle through the lesson to get our discussion on each prophet, so that you can place them when you do this study for yourself, if you desire to do that. All right, Zechariah, read
it's
that.
the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read.
In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius.
That's the same thing.
It's 2 months later.
That's the same thing. So Haggai and Zechariah are what? Contemporary.
Literally at the same time.
They prophesying at the same time.
In the same place.
So you got powerful brothers that got different messages that got to come out at the same time, which also makes them contemporary with Daniel. Read on.
In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah.
The son of who?
Berechiah, and the son of Edu, the prophet.
Edo,
the prophet.
Now wait, we can place that. Go to 1 Kings 13. We can place that. We can find out just how we found out how our brother Hosea was prince of the Reubenites. We can find out who Zechariah is by them listing his parents. Read that. 1 Kings 13:1.
This is book of 1 Kings, chapter 13 and verse 1. And behold, there came a man of God out of Judah.
Now, this is what the scholars say. The man of God out of Judah is Edo the prophet. Now, we're not going to read this whole thing. I just wanted to get you that man of God. When you read this account, it's astounding.
Yeah,
1 Kings 13. The scholars have a consensus that the man of God is Edo the prophet. It's hard to prove it. It's asserted in many ways, but it's a reason for us to bring you to 1 Kings 13 and tell you need to read that, right? But Edo the prophet is a Levite. If Edo is a Levite, what is Zechariah?
Levite.
So that's how you can place Zechariah's tribe. Edo the prophet is a Levite. So is Zechariah his son. Okay. All right, let's get to the prophet that I borrowed my name from. All right. Well, my mother borrowed my name from. The prophet Yahweh or Joel in the Latin. Joel, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
This is a prophet that the scholars have an argument about of when he prophesied. Some say 800 BC, some say 500 BC. That's 300-year difference, right? We are not going to go with the 800 BC. And the reason being is because Yahweh prophesies about
500 BC.
What I said?
You said 800, but they say 500 because of the locusts.
Yeah, we're not going to go with the 800. We're going to go with 500 BC because he prophesied about a great locust plague that's documented in history by civilizations around that time.
Right.
Also, we're going to go to Joel 3:16 to show you something. Go to Joel 3:16. Joel 3:16.
Okay.
You want to show the locust first or no?
Oh, you can show the locust. Go ahead.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
That which the palmer worm hath left hath the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left hath the caterpillar eaten.
So that's like a great plague of the crops. And scholars tell you that happened around 500 BC in that area, and many civilizations denote that. Right. That's a secular tool. It's not a fact. Like I said, there's a fight about when he prophesied. But you could also be led to believe certain things based on what Joel has said. When you look at the prophet Joel, he says things that many other prophets have said. Okay? He says things that many other prophets have said. And there's a key point that I want to point out. Read the book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 9.
God. The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 9. The meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of the Lord. The priests, the Lord's ministers, mourn.
Now, He's not talking about the kings. He's talking about the priests, the Lord's ministers, right? Read verse 13.
Verse 13. Gird yourselves and lament, ye priests. Howl, ye ministers of the altar. Come, lie all night in sackcloth, ye ministers of my God. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of your God.
Now, wait a minute. He's still not mentioning anything about kings. His message is directly like aimed at the priests and the ministers. Read verse 14.
Verse 14. Sanctify ye a fast. Call a solemn assembly. Gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of the Lord your God, and cry unto the Lord.
Read verse 16.
Is not the meat cut off before our eyes? Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our God.
I'm sorry, I meant chapter 2 and verse 16.
Chapter 2,
sorry.
verse 16.
Yeah.
Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders.
Who?
Assemble the elders.
So he's talking to the priests and the elders. There has been no mention of kings or princes.
Right.
Read on.
Gather the children and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet.
Read 28.
Verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
This is a famous scripture.
Yep.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions.
You don't see nothing about kings and priests. He's not saying nothing about your kings, your priests, your kings, your priests. Your kings, your princes. He won't mention it, which leads us to believe that this is probably after the kingdom has fallen and there is no more king and priest set up.
Right.
See that? So this could be 500s. That makes sense with the locust plague being in 500 BC or earlier or later, because he's not mentioning kings and priests.
Right.
Now you have two things that corroborate each other. The locust event was after our kings and princes were destroyed, and we don't have that anymore. And then Joel is prophesying, and he's only talking to priests and elders. No mention of kings and princes. I finally said it right. No kings and princes.
Right.
So now, if he's only talking to priests and elders, there's no mention of kings and princes, then we probably don't even have that anymore. Read chapter 3, verse 6.
Verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
To the who?
The Grecians.
Why is that written that way? That means we've already been sold into captivity and we've fallen. Read verse 1 of chapter 3.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
This means that right now we are currently in captivity when Joel is given this prophecy. So we are not in rulership.
Right.
Therefore, he can't be prophesying in the 800s when we had kings set up.
Right.
See that? He's talking from the perspective that we are currently in captivity.
Makes sense.
Line that up with the locust plague. That makes sense. Line that up with no mention of kings and priests. That makes sense. That Joel was probably a more modern era prophet, probably after all of the kings have passed, where we don't have that set up anymore, and we're now in a state of captivity, right? And then when you read the prophecy of Joel, he echoes things that other prophets have said. Read Amos 1 and 2, and then read Joel 3 and 16. I'm gonna read Joel 3:16. You read Amos 1 and 2.
The book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 2.
Come on.
And he said, the Lord will roar from Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the habitations of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither.
Now that's what Joel is saying.
Right.
Now look what Amos said. The word of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Slakia. Did you read Amos or Joel?
Amos.
You confounded me.
Oh, Slakia.
You were supposed to read Joel.
I was supposed to read Joel.
Yes.
Slakia. Joel 3 and 16.
Did I? I'm probably going too fast. Slakia. Read Joel 3 and 16.
Joel 3.
The point I'm trying to make is that Joel said things that other prophets have said, meaning you could place Joel after those prophets because he's aware of their prophecies. That's the point I'm trying to make. Read Joel 3 and 16.
Joel 3:16. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel.
Now look at the next book, Amos 3:1. 1:1. It says, and the word of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa. We're going to break that down. All right. And he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah the king. We showed you that earlier when it goes into the earthquake. But look what it says in verse 2. And he said, the Lord will roar from Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the habitation of the shepherd shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. That is the same thing that Joel said in Joel 3:16.
Mm-hmm.
So Amos, we know, was during Uzziah, which is much earlier,
Mm-hmm.
when we had kings set up.
Right.
And Joel echoing that prophecy means
Right.
he's after.
Right.
He's heard that already. Give me let's pick an easy one because we're spending a lot of time on this one. Read Isaiah 13:6.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt.
Yeah. Y'all were all prophesying that in his book. Give me Ezekiel 30:1.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 30, and verse 1.
Quick.
The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord God, how will ye? Woe worth the day.
So that howl calling for that, Joel is saying that. He's talking about the wine presses overflowing. The day of the Lord is a day of darkness, etc., etc. Give me Isaiah 4:2.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 4 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Read Micah 4:3.
It's the book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation.
Now, Joel says the same thing about beating your plowshares into pruning hooks, your swords into plowshares, etc.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But Isaiah also said that. Isaiah and Micah said that. But Joel is saying that too. But it's obvious that Joel is saying that afterwards,
Right.
having had access to those prophecies. Brothers is going to say, yo, prove that Joel said that. Go to Joel 2:31. And you get no, that's not what I wanted. I want Joel saying beat your plowshares into pruning, your swords into plowshares. You could just precept it from Micah 4:3. I'm gonna do it right now.
Verse 9.
Yeah, get that.
This is
Joel 3:10. You can just get right to it.
This is book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 10.
Look at this.
Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
See, so now that we have all this information saying that Joel is after, when we see certain things that he echoed from prophets before,
right,
it makes sense.
Right.
That's really the point that I'm trying to drive home without spending too much time on that and making it confusing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's get to the last brother, and then we just take a couple questions and shut the class down. All right. And y'all can tell this is my first time instructing on this. And then the next time I teach this, I'm gonna be real smooth. And I'll have some precepts in my Bible. This is my first week teaching with my naked Bible. No, nothing in it. I don't have my trusty sword, but I'm gonna be back, man. I'm gonna be back. Give me Malachi 1:1.
Okay.
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi.
See how it doesn't tell you who was king? So now how do you place Malachi? Brothers will say, well, Malachi is the last guy because he's the last prophet before the New Testament started. Right. It's not fair for you to do that. The prophets are not in chronological order like that. Okay, it's not fair for you to do that. Go to verse 8, and I'm gonna show you something. Malachi 1 and 8.
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil?
I'm looking at Micah. You're right. Keep reading.
Offer it now unto thy governor.
Unto thy who?
Unto thy governor.
Now, why would Malachi refer to us having a governor if he was living during the time of kings and princes?
Right.
So Malachi must be during the time of Ezra,
Right.
when we have a governor, which is Zerubbabel, right? Go to Nehemiah 5 and 14. That would also make him contemporaneous with Darius. And that would be Malachi was around with Haggai, Zechariah, and Daniel.
Right.
You understand that? Go to Nehemiah 5 and 14.
Book of Nehemiah, chapter 5 and verse 14.
Okay.
Moreover, from the time that I was appointed to be their governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year even unto the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king, that is 12 years, I and my brethren have not eaten the bread of the governor.
So now we know that during the time of us having a governor is contemporaneous with King Darius, is contemporaneous with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and Ezra, and Shealtiel. All right. Not necessarily Shealtiel, but Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and Ezra. Okay. And somebody said contemporary with Haggai and Zechariah. You would have to prove that, right? When we look at Zechariah, you can see that Darius is there. And when we look at Haggai, you can see that Darius, Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and Ezra is mentioned. We're concluding that they must be contemporaneous. But when you put a year on it, you can't prove that. You see how the sister put 520? We're concluding that these people were in power while these things were happening. So at some point they crossed paths, but to put a year on it is to determine an accuracy that you cannot prove. Right. But that's not what the sister's doing is not wicked. It's just what we're saying is we're only teaching what we can prove.
She's saying that's what her Bible says.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're only teaching what we can prove. Like to assert that is, how do you know that? You have to suggest it. So usually these things put circa meaning around or about, approximately. You understand? Because it's really not an exact science. So when you look at Malachi 1 and 8, when it makes mention of a governor, you could say, aha, this is when Israel had governors. And then you can find a time period when that was happening for us. And that was under Zerubbabel and Ezra. And King Darius was the captivity that brothers was dealing with.
Right.
Y'all understand?
So contemporary with Ezra.
I tried to do that as fast as I could. What is it, 11:48, 11:46? I hope that was edifying to the nation. Right now, I'm going to take any questions that y'all have, or if brothers want to speak that's on the panel, y'all got the floor. All right, nobody have any comments, questions? Are there any questions from the YouTube or the chat? Or the call, rather?
We had two people today on the Instagram scoffing in DMs, and neither one of them showed up to the class.
Wow. Cowards.
Per usual.
Well, that's all right. Well, this is a good lesson.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Shalom, Adawan. I'm wondering who are the people of Tyre today?
Tyre and Zidon. Well, those are Canaanite nations. And when you see Tyre and Zidon, it's representing Canaan. So to say who they are today, you would say, well, Palestinians live there. Some Arabs live there today. But to biblically place their nationality, we teach that Tyre and Zidon represent Canaanites.
The reason I had asked, because I think I was reading, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Amos 8 or Amos 9. I'll have to pull it up.
Talking about
but I had just like drawn the conclusion of basically them being oppressed, kind of like in a similar situation as us. But and I remember how they used to say that we were Canaanites at one point, like the Christian church and things like that.
So yeah. They used to teach that black people were Canaanites because Canaan was cursed to be. Canaan was cursed to be a servant of servants, and they just automatically apply that to us. But when you servant of servants only appears one time in the Bible,
right?
All right. There is no way to precept a servant of servants.
Right.
So it means it's important. And Canaanites are prophesied to be servants of servants. Mm-hmm. Esau renders that as the ultimate servant. Yeah. You are a servant of servants. But it can't be rendered that way because it's only written once in the Bible, and things like that have a special significance. Right. A servant of servants means that there has to be a servant class first, and then Canaan is going to serve them. And it is a foreshadowing of the Canaanites serving the Israelites, who are going to be made servants. Right. Yeah. And then there will be a reversal of that fortune. And Joel is prophesying that. When he went into explaining how we were sold to the Grecians, they gave up the whole captivity to the Grecians. And Amos talks about that. Amos 1 and that's another reason why you can say that Joel is after these prophets, because he literally speaks on events that Amos prophesied, right, and has an alternate commentary on it, basically saying the same thing. So,
hey, Salaki.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna let me back just to give the brother more proof on Tyre and Sidon being Canaan. If you go to like Amos 80, not Amos, if you go to Psalm 83, it talks about the inhabitants of Tyre and Sidon being part of the curses, just to prove that the the Bible's a cyclical thing, and like the prophecies continue on throughout history. If you look at Tyre, the place Tyre right now, they changed the time, seasons, places, and all that type of stuff. So they've allotted the land of Tyre to now be in the land of Lebanon, and to prove that those people are servants of servants, they're actually, a lot of them are serving captivity in Lebanon right now. When you look up the people over there in the land of Tyre and Lebanon that are serving captivity, it's primarily Cushites and Canaanites, Ethiopians, and Black Kenyans and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's prophecy that's still going on today as well.
Thank you for that addition. Thank you, Boopa. That's very generous. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that addition to the wisdom. I really want to revisit this lesson because I did this with, like I said, I'm gonna keep using. I'm sorry. I'm giving an excuse. I did this with a naked Bible with no precepts in this, and I didn't have any of the scriptures that I had surrounding all these prophets that probably could have helped bring the edification more smooth. It's almost like starting from scratch, but I enjoyed doing this study because I learned a lot. Placing the prophets was something that I never really cared to do until it just came on me like, bro, you always wanted to do that lesson. Like, who was king when such and such prophesied? And I had it in my mind that the prophets were in some sort of chronological order, just generally speaking. Like, I felt like the canon, Isaiah comes before these brothers because he was first. I just felt it was like, and then doing this study, I learned a lot, man. Some of the minor prophets was before Isaiah. I learned that, right? And I appreciated doing this study. It was very interesting, especially coming on and seeing who prophesied together at the same time. So I look forward to teaching this again after having the experience of teaching it once and being much more smooth. So thank y'all for bearing with me trying to explain it today. So if there's no more questions, we're going to shut it down. We got the number at the. All right, go ahead.
Slaki Edwan, I'm sorry. I have a question about knowing how to map out where things are. Like when you look into the scriptures, it'll say, this is where it is. So where are the resources for us to look at a map or, something to give us like a picture of where the lands are and what they were called before and what they are called now?
You're going to have to do the same thing I did because no two biblical maps are the same. When you look up biblical maps, you'll have one website. This is their standard. Right. And then you'll go to another website and everything is shifted to the left and up. Like no two maps are the same. Jehovah's Witnesses got maps that's completely different than the Catholic man's map. And then your Bible has a map built in. Compare that map to the map you find on the internet. It's not the same. So you're actually going to have to pick a place and look at all the different convergent scholarship of where that place is at, compare it to what current maps say, right, and then go with the process of elimination. This is the most accurate. But then you're going to have to do that for every place. And by the time you're done, you'll have what we have right here, which is basically a timeline of the prophets. But this is just SOT's timeline. Other brothers might do this and say, wait, now I disagree with Yahweh all being 500 BC. There were many locust plagues, and it could be justifiable to say that he was from this time. And brothers might have some scholarship from secular sources to back that up. The scriptures do not give you, there's no map that the Lord had Moses draw and say, pass this down to the children of Israel. So scholarship like that, you have to do yourself. You understand, brother?
Yeah, con. I appreciate it, the water.
I seen something where the site of the wilderness, Arab website has it where these are protected national reserve sites. Like you can't even go near it.
How the hell?
They have gates around it. There's a big rock with a stone on it with Hebrew inscriptions and glyphs of animals drawn on it, and there's a gate around it. And the Arab website says this is where they worship the golden calf. And if you look at the glyphs, it depicts that scene. And this is where Moses was when that was happening. And then here's where he split the rock, right? Nobody could prove these things. It's all hearsay. You can't prove these things. So those things are just when you just study in the treasury of the scripture for your own personal enjoyment. Just like I kind of personally enjoy placing these prophets and these kings. Yeah. Because now I'm gonna pick one king. Like I'm gonna start with Azariah. I'm gonna read about him, and I'm gonna connect it to Jonah, because Jonah prophesied during that time, right? I'm gonna look up Jeroboam the second and the wicked Jeroboam, and look at all the things that he did, and then I'm gonna read the prophets that were contemporary with his reign, and see what they were saying and why. And that's gonna bring the scriptures to light, and that's gonna take me some time, and it's gonna take y'all some time, but hopefully this lesson gave y'all the information to make it easier for y'all to go do that.
It's like a movie that's really gonna make things like make a lot more sense too on why the prophets said what they said.
All right. Somebody said I have a 4-year-old son. I'm trying to get him to live in our culture. Any tips? Teach him how to do it. Raise up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Wisdom from Solomon. All right. You just have to teach him and show him through that this is not a phase that you're going through. I say that to all the parents that ask me that. How do I get my kids more into this truth? Show them that this is not a phase.
4 years old, that should be easier.
It should be easy because he's growing up with it, and that's all he's going to know. But for you older converts, you got teenage kids, and like daddy figured out he's an Israelite, they're going to be looking at you like, this is a phase that dad's going through. He ain't going to stay with this, or he going to eat a pepperoni slice in just a month. Watch. And then through your staunch stance and standing stiffly for the commandments and being consistent, then they're going to take you seriously. It'd be like that a lot. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my best advice for that. Khan. You packed a lot of information in a small amount of time. Khan. But like I said, when I teach things a second time, I'll be more smooth. I'm going to watch the lesson over again and see where I stumbled and where I could have made things easier to understand. And I'll get better with that. And then what I'll do is I'll make a visual aid and put the prophets in groups. These prophets are contemporary to each other. And then I'll put that as like something that you could download from the YouTube.
I'll beat you to it.
You'll beat me to it? All right. So if that's it on that, I want y'all to call the number at the bottom of the screen to get the Sabbath prayer. Just make sure when you call in, you mute your phone. We are the sons of thunder. It's our heart's prayer and desire for Israel that they might be saved. Khan? All right. What's up?
You said that you was going to give the meaning of.
Oh, he got me. Let's run it back. I said I was going to give the names and the meanings of the names of all the prophets, right? I said that, right? All right. Let's do it. No, man, my beard is nappy.
I feel like
I need
the
a haircut.
kid who reminds the teacher that they got homework.
All right, let's start with Jonah. What is the meaning of the name Jonah? If the class want to answer, don't cheat. If the class want to answer, I'm giving you time. What's the meaning of the name Jonah? Nobody? All right, Jonah means dove. All right, go ahead, brother. That says Salaki. I already done said it.
Yeah, you already said I was going to say that.
Jonah means dove. Jonah means dove. Let's move.
The people in Clubhouse said, don't forget Clubhouse questions, but ain't nobody raised their hand.
Ain't nobody raise their hand. All right, let's go to the next prophet that was of relevance. We connected him to Tobit. All right. What does the name Tobit mean? Tawab. Ooh. What? Do brothers know? Hey, somebody on the call says Salakia.
God is good.
I don't think it means God is good. Where you get that from?
Google.
He said Google. No, it doesn't mean God is good. It's like it means it's a boy's name meaning good or of good. All right.
Tobit did do good. He was burying brothers who were laying dead on the streets. He didn't have no burial. He's doing a lot of good for our people. And then,
all right, let's get the name. Amos was the next prophet. What does the name Amos mean, Israel? Ariah said, I'm confounded.
I'm supposed to know this.
Amos, I'm was. What does it mean?
Salaki.
Go ahead.
Burden.
Burden. The name Amos means burden.
Where'd you get that?
Where you get that? Where you get that? Who learned you that?
His Bible.
His
Bible.
His Bible. You can't answer no more.
No.
Amos means burden. All right. Our next prophet, Hosea. Our next prophet, Hosea. What's the name? Hosea mean? Hawashai. Come on, brothers. Hosea? Hosea means salvation. Hosea means salvation. Y'all are not trying to look up I give you the website, HebrewOldTestament.com. You can look at the characters. All right, you're gonna see that Hawashai in there.
Think about
Hosanna, right?
Yeah.
Salvation.
Rock of salvation.
All right, the next brother we have is Micah. What is the meaning of the name Micah? Micah. What is the meaning of the name Micah? Anybody on the call? Anybody in the clubhouse? See your hand raised? Bring him up. No, don't bring him up.
Too late.
Too late. You're gonna come to disrupt. We're enjoying ourselves.
Micah.
It means
Micah means who is like God, who is like Yah.
Micah.
Yes, Mike.
Right? Who is like Yah? All right. Somebody said Prince. No, Prince is Ashar.
one who is humble and weak.
All right. What about Isaiah? Yeshaya. What does the name Isaiah mean? What does the name Isaiah mean? All right.
The Lord is salvation.
Nobody want to answer. I'm just going to tell you the meanings then and get through it. Go ahead, brother.
Yahweh have saved.
It means Yahweh saves. All right. Doesn't Yahweh Shai's name means he who saves? Yeshaya. You should see it in there. All right. It means Yahweh saves. All right. I got a favorite name out of all the prophets, but I'm going to tell y'all later. What does Zephaniah mean? Zephaniah. What does that mean? It means Yahweh protects or Yahweh hides. Right? Yahweh protects. All right?
9%.
Next brother we have is Nahum. What is the meaning of the name Nahum? So very good. As Ananiah says, hidden. That's close. Yahweh hides. All right. That was close. Micah said Yahweh is saved. I believe he was talking about Isaiah's name. Yes, many people got that right. Many people got that right. Micah says Nahum means comfort. That's what his name means. Comfort. Nahum. Comfort. All right. This is my favorite name of all of them. Habakkuk. Right? I'm going to just tell you what it means. This is my favorite name. Habakkuk means a hearty hug. It means to hug someone hard. Habakkuk.
A warm embrace.
A warm embrace. Habakkuk. All right. So when you see your brothers at camp tomorrow, you dap them, you hug them. That's a. That's a Habakkuk. All right. Habakkuk. When you give a mighty hug. Soldier Duroc said embrace. That's right. But you got to remember, it's not just a hug. It's a vigorous hug, a hearty embrace. Ardent embrace is what it says in the King's English. All right. That brings us to our next brother, Jeremiah. Jeremiah. What is that? What does Jeremiah mean? Wait. Let the brothers on the call, man. Go ahead.
Well raised.
Well raised?
Well raised.
Say it again.
Will raised.
Will raised? No. See, one thing is a hint. Jeremiah has Yahweh's name in it.
Yeah.
So it got to have something to do with Yahweh. All right.
Whom Yahweh has appointed. That's what Micah said.
Somebody said Shalaki on the call.
Yahweh appointed.
Who Yahweh appointed.
Yahweh appoints.
Yeah.
That would make sense because the Lord said, I knew you since you was in the womb. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I ordained you, right?
Right.
Jeremiah. All right. I see some different answers. I see
Yahweh will raise.
Yahweh is high.
Yahweh is high.
Not necessarily will raise, but is high. And that goes with, all right, Hebrew's an old language. Yah exalted. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We trying to make English words mean Hebrew word. It don't really work like that. Like when it says Yahweh is high or God is high, that's us making it so plain that you missing the sense. God uplifts is a better way of saying the same thing, or Yahweh is exalted is probably the superior understanding. You understand? Yahweh is somebody say Yahweh establishes. I don't necessarily see that one, but the names of the prophets can be interpreted. Like my name, I don't want to give it away because I'm gonna get to that. All right. But yeah, I would say that the best one would be Yahweh is exalted. Yaram. Let's go to Obadiah. What is the meaning of the word Obadiah? Anybody on the call? Now, there's a name that Obadiah sounds like, which is Abdul. Right? Now, what does Abdul mean? What does the name Abdul mean? Abdallah. Abdallah. What does that mean? No.
Allah means God.
Right. So, what does Ab mean? Slave.
So servant.
Servant of God. So Obadiah's name means servant of Yahweh.
That's a mighty name.
Servant of Yahweh. Very good. Everybody in the comments was getting that one. Mm-hmm. That's good.
And it's gonna be sad they have to retire this spot.
Talk louder, bro. Oh, you just saying something. I think I know this one offhand. Ezekiel. What is the meaning of the name Ezekiel? Just if you want to call it, just say Salakia and bring it out. Ezekiel. Ezekiel. What does that name mean? I don't see nobody typing in the chat. Anybody here?
Mm-mm.
What is the name of? They Googling. Stop cheating. Sound it out and think about it. Well, everybody don't really know the paleo like that.
Amayan Yasharala said God strengthens.
One name is God strengthens. I see James Huggins. Go ahead. Go ahead, Elliot.
I was saying, yeah, God strengthens basically it.
One brother says strength of Yahweh. Is God strengthens accurate? God strengthens? Or is it Yah strengthens? Why did you say Yah? His name is Ezekiel. Allah. That's God. That's not Yah. So the right answer is God's strength of God. All right, like Gabariala, warrior of God, right? See, if you put Yah in it, it has to be in the letters.
Right.
And I don't think Yah is in the characters.
Yah Kazakia.
Yeah, Kazakia.
Wait, Araya says it's Yah Kazakia Allah. I'm gonna have to pull up the Hebrew. I need to look at that. Hold on 1 second. Because I might be wrong. Let me go to Hebrew Old Testament. I'm gonna share my screen with y'all that's watching too. We do this all the time. This is just be you right now. You studying with us how we study with each other. Right. We actually enjoy it. Let's get Ezekiel. Is his name written? There it is, right there. Now, yeah. Let me share my screen first. I'm sharing my screen on the YouTube. Where is it?
Chrome tab.
Right there. All right, so y'all should be able to see this on the YouTube. I use this website a lot. This is HebrewOldTestament.com. And when I come here to see what things look like when they was written in the Paleo, right? Now you can find Ezekiel's name here. Okay. See Yahweh right there. See how it says in the hand of the Lord? There it is right there. Yahweh. Right there. Now, brothers said Yahweh gives strength, and the brothers Ariah said is Yah Kazakia Allah. But if you look at it, that Yah is not the truncation. I'm gonna try to make it real big on the screen. Right here, guys, if you can see it on the YouTube, the second line. Can they see my mouse on the screen moving around?
Yeah.
This is Yah Kazak Allah. See it right there? You can't take this character here, Yah, and turn it into a prefix for Yahweh's name. You can't do that. So if it was Yahweh, like the Yah and the Wah, or if it was the entire Lord name right here, like the Yahweh, right there, Yahweh Kazaki Allah, then you could kind of say, well, it was saying that Yahweh, the strength of my God.
Right.
But it really, the Yah standing alone is just, it cannot be used as a prefix for the name of the Lord. Right. So I wouldn't say that it is good form to say Yahweh is the God that strengthens me, or Yahweh is the God of my strength, because Yahweh is not really in the name.
Right.
So I would say I see what you're saying, Araya.
For everybody on the Clubhouse that's not on the YouTube, I just pinned the website to the top.
All right.
So that y'all can have that.
It's good. This class ended up being real good. All right. The next prophet is Haggai. The next prophet is Haggai. What does the name Haggai mean? What does Haggai mean? Now when we do our feast days, we say a certain word. We say Ashar Ka'ag. Right?
Feast.
What does the name Haggai mean? All right, James Huggins got it first. It means to feast, to gather for a festival. Right? Not necessarily feast. The word for feast is Ka'ag. Haggai's name is a derivative of that word, meaning to gather for a festival. Right? That's interesting, right? Festival. Brother's name is Festival.
That's interesting.
You know? All right, just a few more. We almost done. There's only 3 left. Let's go to Zechariah. What is the meaning of the name Zechariah? What is the meaning of the name Zechariah? Let me share my screen. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add it to the stream again. We're gonna look at it in the Paleo, right?
Yeah, remembers.
I use this website all the time, y'all. HebrewOldTestament.com. Right? It's an old website. It's not the slickest website, but it serves its purpose. All right. So we can see the characters.
Zakar.
Now let me make it large. Let me make it large so that people can see it. Right here, you see the name Zechariah. Right there. This Yah, the Yah and the Ha together can be used as a substitute for the Lord's name, right? When it's used in this way. So the Lord's name is in this name, right? And Zakar, what does Zakar mean, brothers?
Remember.
So what does the name Zechariah mean?
Yahweh remembers.
Yahweh remembers, man. Yahweh remembers.
Yeah.
Right? Yahweh remembers. You said you said that people could see my mouse when I move it around the screen.
Yeah, I see it.
So this is right. This I character is a Za, Ka, Ra, Yaha. Zechariah. That's a fire name. Zechariah. Right? Now some Christian is gonna make a room tomorrow. Yeah. Hebrew Israelites made up their own Hebrew.
Yeah.
All right, so what? Even if that was so what?
Right. Even the scholars would agree.
Even the scholars would agree.
They would.
Right. This brings me to the next brother, Joel. What does the name Yawal mean? Yahweh Allah. All right. Yahweh Allah. What does the name Yahweh All mean? Yahweh All is the same name as Elijah. I know, I seen it. Elijah is just Yahweh All backwards. Right? Elijah, Yah Allah, Elijah, Yah Allah, or Eliyah, and then it's Yah Ali, Yah Allah. But mine has the Wa in between. So instead of the Yah and the Ha character to make the short for the Lord's name, they use the Yah and the Wa to make the short for the Lord's name. Brian Skipper says, God is my power. No. Joel Gandy Jr., the Lord is God. That's the Jehovah Witness way. Right. Ariah, Yahweh is my God. My is implied by the scholars. It could be cleanly said Yahweh is God, is the meaning of the name.
That's what Amayan Yasha'Allah put.
Khan. Yahweh is. And that's the same name as Elijah. All right? And Eliyahu, God, Yahweh. God, and then you clean it up. God is Yahweh. Right? And Benny Yah, no, that's Yahweh is my father. A name like Eliel, right? That's more difficult.
It's like a rendition. Yeah.
Because Eliel is saying God.
Yeah, God, my God, I guess is how they say it. But it's, God, really.
But see, the Yah in there, Allah, Yah, Allah, makes it God is Yahweh, who's my God. Yeah. Or
my God
he,
my God is Yahweh.
Yeah. My God is Yahweh, or he who is Yahweh is God. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's a little more difficult because these are names, right? That takes us to the last one, Malachi. What is the meaning of the name Malachi? Get it in Esdras. What is the name Malachi? This is the last one, then we're going to pray. What does the name Malachi mean? Captain Israel says, my name Israel means Yahweh will shine. Fire. What is the meaning of the name Malachi? Azaniah says, messenger of Yahweh. James says, messenger of God. Is that good form? Malachi, is that good form to say messenger of God? Why?
Because there's no ol in there.
And because the ending of the name Yah.
Right. So messenger of God would be Micah.
Khan.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Michael is
messenger of God. Yeah. Because L.
So what is Malachi? What is that?
Messenger of Yahweh.
Messenger of Yahweh. See the difference? All right, that's it, y'all, man. We tired, man. Thank y'all for watching the class. Watch the video again. Like, share, and subscribe, and come to camp. Oh, tomorrow, just for everybody listening, we're going to be having Unity Camp with the brothers of Sakari. We're going to be at the Old Brave Stadium. If y'all come into camp with SOT, we're not going to be at our normal spot. We're going to be at the Old Braves Stadium. All right?
So Georgia State
Center Park Stadium is called.
The Georgia State Football Arena.
Center Park Stadium. We're going to be having Unity Camp with the brothers of Sakari for birthday bash. That's what's going on tomorrow.
And on Sunday, we have the wrestling event.
Yeah.
It's a Bruce name.
On Sunday, we have the wrestling match, Big Smooth. Our heavyweight champion is going to be wrestling. There's going to be musical performances. It's going to be a great time. Make sure y'all get y'all tickets, man. Do we have a link that we could share so that if they want to go to that, we could put that in the chat? Because somebody type that in the chat. Say what?
Kanal said you didn't get a time for
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Well, actually, let's make it 3:30.
So brothers need to be there.
We got a link we could put in the chat for the wrestling match. I think I got one. I'm gonna text it to you, Malachi, and then you put it.
Okay.
Somebody said Salakia on the call. Somebody said Salakia. Go ahead.
I was gonna see, are you guys gonna live stream that?
Yeah, we're gonna
camp tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna live stream from Facebook though.
Okay, calm.
I just sent you the link, but when you put the link in the chat, does it appear as a link?
It might not.
Go ahead, brother.
Is that the only website you use, Hebrew Old Testament? That's what you said.
That's my favorite website to see the Paleo. It has the Paleo for everything in the Old Testament, the Paleo and the modern characters. So sometimes when I get confounded on like a Hebrew word, I'll go there to see how it's written, and then I can study the characters. You sent it? You're welcome, Mark. I say you're welcome. Right now, we're putting it in the chat for y'all, the link to the wrestling match. Hopefully, y'all could click it.
I think it did come up as a link.
Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, there you go. So if you want to go to the wrestling match, make sure y'all get y'all ticket. Be in the building. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be food and drinks. We're going to have a good time as Israelites together. All right, we're going to have a Haggai, a festival, right? All right. All right, Israel, we're going to leave that on the screen for a minute. With mini Habakkuk. So make sure you wash under your arms before you try to hug me. Kwame Yashala, call this number at the bottom so you can get the Sabbath prayer. Make sure you mute your phones when you call in. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Love y'all, man. Peace.